Welcome back to video 2 for week 1. In this video, we are going to talk about economic model. In our video 1, we talked about that how are we going to use problem solving approach as well as case studies to understand economics problem. Here the idea is how do we solve problems in economics. The economic world, the business world, the social world is very complex. There are so many factors affecting the end result. It becomes very difficult to understand what are the primary factors in any particular. So what we are going to do? We are going to reduce the complexity of reality. We are going to have abstract and simplified model. I want to give you two examples to understand what do we mean by that abstract and simplified version of reality. Reality in itself is very complex. So many factors, as I said, affect the final outcome. When we simplify the reality, what we do? We remove unnecessary factors which have impact, perhaps minor impact, but removing them would not change the results. It is very much like drawing the map. Let us say I am as of now at IIT Kanpur and I want to go to Kanpur Central, that is the railway station in Kanpur. Of course, in this age, I am going to go on Google Map. Google Map will give me the approximate time and approximate way. This one is schematic diagram. You can also see the satellite view, map view, which is way too complex if you do not have layers there. If you look at the map, it has only 3 steps. First, that you have to go to the main gate and turn right, turn east on main drive. Follow that and then again turn for railway station. Here at least you see the way road is turning. You can also have this way, that from here to gate to railway station and this, and you can give here distance, let's say 0.5 kilometer, 16 kilometer, 0.2 kilometer, and just tell people where are the turning points. What you have here in this zone, you don't need to mention them in detail. They will unnecessarily clutter the information. They will not give you any more information. Sometime you may place one landmark just to make sure that you are going in the right direction, but whole lot of information on building are not required. So that is one example of complexity reduced. Here this is the abstract simplified representation of map from IIT Kanpur to Kanpur Central. That's one example. The other example is, there are two famous books in Sanskrit called Panchtantra and Hitopdesh. They are fables in which the animals talk. Animals are like personification of, for example, kindness. An old tiger is acting very kind and you reach to a certain conclusion. Then in reality, tigers are not kind or something. They live in animal world and so they are not kind. So what are we trying to do? So there also we are building a kind of model, that there is a story, what happens if someone is kindness personified, what kind of problems he or she can face. That's what we are doing through those stories. Here in economics, we also write stories, but the language that we use of writing those stories is of mathematics and statistics, and we deliberately use tools like optimization, equilibrium analysis, comparative statics, and regression analysis. So even before we talk about these 4 things, we will talk about two kind of variables. One we call exogenous variables which are given from outside. Let us say this is a model, you supply exogenous variable, that's not part of the model, and in return model gives you back endogenous variable, the variables which are determined within the model. For example, if manager is trying to maximize the profit, the prices of raw material would be exogenous variable, and what manager determines within the model that how much of raw material it should buy, how much of a particular raw material it should buy, that would be endogenous variable determined to a model. Okay, so this we should be aware. Sometimes we also talk about parameters. Parameters are something that doesn't change, it's given about the environment, like for example, some exogenous variable can be prices also, prices of particular inputs, or salary of a manager, or salary of a worker, or rate of depreciation. So some of these things can be given from outside, and they are like they are also example of parameter. So now let us talk about first mathematical tool that we will have, optimization. As we were talking about in the first video, you will hear me again and again, this is very very important, that there is unlimited wants, everyone wants to get everything, and there is limited resources. So given the limited resources, people are trying to get unlimited wants, but it is not humanly, it is not physically, it is not possible. Okay, so what do they do? For different wants, they put different weight. Some wants are more important, more immediate. Some wants can wait. If only they had more resources, then they would go for those wants. So whatever they want to get, they have a mathematical formulation, one can say. They have certain objective to achieve. This objective represents these wants. Like for a firm, for a manager, this fx can be profit that firm is trying to maximize. For an individual, this can be level of satisfaction, as much satisfaction as possible. Okay, so that's what fx would represent. So what they try to do, they try to maximize f of x. That's why we are saying optimization. Optimization has two different kind of optimization one can talk about. So there are two kind of optimization one can say. One is maximization and another is minimization. So we can say that we are trying to here, because max represent maximization, so we are trying to maximize fx, and this can be called an objective function. Objective function. And how you are trying to maximize? By varying x. X is the variable that is in your control. So you are trying to vary x so that your objective function is maximized. But the problem is that there may be some constraint on x. So we can say that gx has to be less than or equal to c. This is what constraint is. So in economics, basically what you will get is a constraint optimization. Why are you doing optimization? Because you are trying to achieve maximum possible satisfaction. You are trying to achieve unlimited wants given limited resources, and that's why you have constraint. So we will see that whenever there is a manager, typically manager is trying to maximize profit. When we are talking about consumer, perhaps consumer is trying to maximize the level of satisfaction. We economists have a special word for it, we call it utility. So consumers are interested in maximizing utility, managers are interested in maximizing profit. But so you can say, where do you minimize things? One can say the managers are also interested in minimizing cost, and all these are examples of optimization. So each individual agent, whether that agent is manager, that agent is consumer, whether that agent is household, they are trying to do some sort of constraint optimization. So we are going to use calculus tool to maximize f of x with respect to x such that g of x is less than or equal to c. This is a general problem statement, and as I have said, fx can be profit maximization, it can be utility maximization. Now another concept that we need is equilibrium. So we already talked about, and we are going to get into much more detail, not just simply like here, we will have this in much more detail, that in market there are two forces. One side you have consumer, on the other side you have a producer, perhaps a manager is working for that producer, and in the middle you have a market where they are interacting. Now the issue is that consumer wants to maximize utility, producer wants to maximize profit. If to maximize profit, producer should charge as high price as possible and consumer should get at as low price as possible. How should that price be determined in the system, and how should it be determined in the economy? So basically one can say that price is that coordinating mechanism that exists between consumer and producer. Who decides the price? It depends on the setting, but in one hypothetical setting where there is a large number of consumers and there are large number of producers, it is decided in the market. We say that is perfectly competitive market, it is decided in the market. If producer is monopolist, it means there is only one seller in the market, then it has more say, but still it cannot price its product arbitrarily, because if higher is the product, lower would be the quantity bought for that item. Again, we will get into more details about these things. So even monopolist has to moderate the price. So eventually the price is determined in the market. So one can say that there are two opposing forces, one exerted by consumer, another exerted by producer. If price is way too high, consumer will go for the lower number of item. If price is too low, producer will go for the lower number of items. So in some cases they would not be satisfied in the market. So there exists a point where both forces are in the balance, and that's the kind of equilibrium we are talking about. In equilibrium, different optimizing agents come together and be satisfied in that particular situation. None of the economic agents have any incentive or any reason to behave in such a way that changes the equilibrium. Okay, so we will have some sort of equilibrium study in this particular. Next is comparative statics. What is comparative statics? We talked about, remember, in the model there are exogenous variable and there are endogenous variable, exo and endo. In short, I can write exogenous variable and endogenous variable. Now the issue is that of course the decision maker, whether the consumer or the producer or manager on behalf of producers, they are not controlling the exogenous variable, they perhaps take it as given. Exogenous variables are not in their control, but somehow, even let's look at the prices of raw material, it changes in the market on its own. Okay, so what would be the impact of endogenous variable? Such kind of question we answered in the comparative statics. Comparative means comparison, statistics it should be statics, its term is static. When an economy is in equilibrium, what does it mean? That it's going to remain in the equilibrium, it would not change on its own unless there is an external force forcing it to change. Okay, so that's what, because it's not changing, it's called statics, and comparative is about comparison. So we are comparing two equilibrium in comparative statics. If we are studying macroeconomics, we will be doing comparative dynamics, where we not only talk about what happens when there are two equilibrium, but we also talk about how the equilibrium changing from one scenario to another scenario. One can say that comparative statics, it's like taking picture of two equilibrium and comparing them. That's what comparative statics is. And dynamics would be that taking a video of the changing scenario and not only studying that, not only comparing the first equilibrium with the final equilibrium, but also how the situation, the economy is changing when it is in transition. Okay, so that's what we do here, but we will, because we are mostly focused on microeconomics, we are going to talk about comparative statics and not comparative dynamics. So that somehow optimization, equilibrium and comparative statics are related. How they are related? That for individual agent we do constraint optimization, then we bring all individual agent together and we balance forces out so that we get equilibrium. Now because of changes in exogenous condition, whatever changes we get in equilibrium, that we study under comparative statics. So they are related to one another. Now the thing is that there is another technique available. We will not focus on this technique much, and that is of regression analysis. So when we say that, the profit is a function of prices, but profit is also function of weather, profit is also function of government policy, we are ignoring many factors, we are not taking them into account. That's where econometrics comes real handy. We do regression analysis and we have something like x beta plus e. So I will tell you the difference between mathematical model and statistical model. That in mathematical model we just write x beta, and of course it's not accurate, but we do not care about the error part. But in regression analysis we also bring error part in the picture. So we can say, like in from the physical world, we can give this example. So we have let's say the length of the pendulum, and here is the oscillation time, and we are changing, and that's, like this is the way we are getting. So how to get the best fit? So the technique, this is the linear regression, we get this is the way best fit. Here just by approximation I have put, but this is not accurate. We have much better method available. We can do linear regression, and there this is an example of linear regression, and there could be many different kind of regression that one can use. We are going to, because as manager you might be interested in figuring out the demand for your good in the market, because if demand is less you will produce less. Let us say if demand is very high and you have produced less, you are not able to reap all the benefits from the market. And if price is, if demand is very low and if you have produced a lot, again you will end up decreasing the price. You will not be you will go into loss, you would be wasting money. So therefore demand estimation is required. So there we will talk about regression analysis little bit. So this is another topic that we are going to. So this is it. This is the economic model, mathematical and statistical tools that we are going to use in this course. And so we are going to take help from all these tools to build our knowledge of managerial economics. This is for video 2. We will meet again in video 3. Thank you.